We're going to begin our stretch sequence today with a couple of warm-up exercises. The first is a gentle version, and then we'll move into a little bit more vigorous warm-up. So stand with your feet a little bit greater than hip width distance apart, and just lift up your heel and take your arm over to the side, and then alternate, lifting the heel and the arm, swaying from side to side. Letting the arms flow freely like pendulums. Breathing, and just keep swaying like this to get your body warmed up, the blood flowing, oxygen into the muscles. So you can continue doing the swaying, or you can move into a little bit more vigorous warm-up, which will just be moving the arms in specific directions. So let's begin. Keep your legs a little bit greater than hip width distance apart, and then start sweeping your arm up. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. Take them to the waist. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6 to the knees. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6 to the feet. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6 back to the knees. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. Waist. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. Up. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. Whew! Should be warmed up now. So, now that you're nicely warmed up, come to a good standing position. Feet firmly on the mat or the ground. Ankles and arches lifted. Legs parallel, feet parallel to each other. Slightly tuck your tailbone. So that would be just making sure you're not sway back. Slightly tuck your tailbone. Lift your ribs up. Drop your shoulders down and tuck your chin and open up your palms so that the shoulders stay open. And just stay here for a moment, feeling your feet pressing firmly into the floor of the mat, all edges of the feet pressing down. And notice if one foot seems like it presses down more firmly than the other foot. Just notice, there's no right or wrong here. Okay, so now that you're standing, just lift and lower your toes, flexing them, giving them a little bit of a stretch. We're going to do more toe work later. And then come up on your tiptoes a few times. So we're going to come up, 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 and then hold it up. Stay up on your tiptoes, strengthening your arches, strengthening your ankles, working on your balance. Find a focal point, or you can hold on to your chair if you find it a little bit taxing to stay up on the toes. And then drop your feet down. Take a deep breath in. Now I happen to be standing right next to a wall, so I'm going to use the wall to check, make sure that I am lined up correctly so that the top of my head is tall, and then the back of my head is pressing against the wall. My neck is long, my chin is tucked, my shoulders are heading back towards the wall. The tip of my tailbone or my butt cheeks are touching the wall, and then my ankles and feet are right close to the wall here. So I have good alignment. You're hoping that the back of your head and your shoulders are both touching the wall here. Don't force the movement though. Don't get into some kind of an awkward position down here to make yourself close to the wall. Just listen to your body and notice where it is. Don't make it be somewhere it doesn't want to be. So we're going to take our arms out to the side, and I'm keeping my arms against the wall. Kind of come off a little bit and then just open and close the shoulders. Open and close. Open and close. Open and close. Open and close. And I'm going to open the shoulders and then just close the forearms. Keeping those shoulders heading backwards. Taking a few breaths, reaching out for my fingers. And then I'm going to drop my arms down. Okay. So the first of our stretches today will be on the chair. So have your chair handy. And if you have any issues with your eyes or with your back, you might want to check with your doctor before you do some of these stretches. So watch the video, tell him what's on the video, and it'll be in the show notes so you can determine whether these poses are good for your body. So we're going to begin with this one. It's a forward fold, and we're going to do it on the chair because you may not be able to fold all the way down if you have certain conditions, but you may be able to go to the seat of the chair. So fairly close to your legs so that you can see your toes, but you're fairly close to the front seat of the chair. And we're going to bend the knees slightly, roll the shoulders over, and relax the arms and the head. Keep the thighs parallel, the shins parallel, and the feet parallel. And then just going to start to lower down slowly, releasing the vertebrae on the upper back, relaxing the head and neck till the hands come down to the chair. And we're going to rest the hands on the chair. Try to keep the shoulders open and wide with the shoulder blades trying to meet in the back of your spine. So once you're in this position, I'm going to do some bending and straightening of the knees. Press into your feet. Bend and straighten as much as is comfortable for you. Starting to lubricate the joints of the knees, but not put a lot of pressure on them. And breathe. And then hold yourself into the squat portion of this bend straighten. Relax the head and neck. Press into your feet. Take a few breaths here, just feeling the tops of your thighs are working here. Your lower legs are working. A little bit of strengthening with our stretching. Take some breaths in and out through your nose. And then straighten out your legs. And don't lock them, just straighten them. And then slowly roll yourself up to standing. All right, so what happens there is that you get some space between each of the vertebrae when you roll over like that, which is great. It sends a lot of nutritious fluids through the spine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a forward fold without the chair. Once you feel very comfortable and steady in your forward fold, you're going to want to do it a little bit deeper. So we're going to start the same way. We're going to bend the knees slightly, fold the head and neck forward, and then keeping the feet firm, keeping the legs straight up and down, we're going to start just rolling forward very, very slowly, keeping the knees bent, bending them as much as you need to bend them. Let the spine release. Keep breathing, keep the head and arms relaxed, and come down as low as your body will allow you to. And if you have a block or some books, you can rest your hands on the block. Or you can go all the way down to the floor. And then again, we're going to do that bend and stretch. So we're going to bend the knees, straighten. Bend the knees, straighten. Bend the knees, straighten, bend. Straighten, listening to your body, not going beyond what the body wants to do today. Keep the head and neck relaxed. And then the next time you're in the bend, hold the bend. And I'm going to rest on this block here with my hands. Relax my head and neck. Press into my feet. Breathe. Feel the fronts of my thighs working. And straighten the legs up. And very slowly roll up to standing. And you can actually hold onto your legs as you roll up, because you want your head to be the last thing that comes up. And then roll the shoulders back, tuck in your chin. Nice forward fold, energizing the spine, releasing the spine. We're going to do another series on the chair. Turn the chair around so you can use the back of the chair as a little taller. We're going to do some work to stretch out the muscles in the back of the leg. So hold on to the edge of your chair. My chair is sturdy here. Make sure it's on a sturdy non-stick surface, or you've got it up against the wall. Then you're going to take a generous step back, generous in your body, back with your leg. And you're going to keep those shoulder blades heading towards the spine. Try to keep the spine straight, and press that heel of the back leg back. You'll feel a strong sensation in your calf muscle. And breathe here, stretching out the calf. Make sure that the hip of the back leg is not open like that. Keep it in line with the hip of the forward leg. And hold this. You can do 3 sets of these. I'm only going to do 1 today. But if you like a good calf stretch, you can do alternate legs 3 times. Okay, so I'm going to bring that leg in. And I'm going to swap legs. Take a generous step back with my other leg, making sure my hips are level. And I'm going to push back with that back heel. Feeling that calf muscle relax. Not pushing it, I'm not forcing it, I'm just letting gravity, breath, and relaxation allow the calf to release. And then bring it in. Okay, we've worked the backs of the legs. We've done a little work on the front of the legs. We're going to do another stretch. This is a challenge. It's a little bit of a balance challenge, and it's a calf stretch. It's a quadricep stretch. And I'm going to show it 2 ways. First off, we'll start with our chair, back with the seat facing. And if you have a wall handy, it's good for balance. Now lift your leg up onto the chair. The standing leg should be tall, straight, and strong, and the weight of your leg is pressing into all 4 corners of the foot. So look down at your foot. Try to have your foot be straight ahead and the side of your foot in line with the sides of the rug or the mat. Drop this hip down so your hips are level. And then start to lift up the leg that's in the chair. If this seems fairly comfortable and easy to you, sometimes you get a pull here in the side of the hip. Stay right here, just lifting and lowering the leg In fact, you can put your foot on the edge and lift and lower it that way until it feels fairly easy. And you may have to do this for several sessions. If you have very tight hips, this may not be accessible to you right away. Okay, but if it is accessible to you and you're thinking easy peasy here, I want you to walk your hand down the foot, grab the foot, and try to bring the top thigh there in line with the other thigh. And stand up straight, press your hand into your foot and your foot into your hand. Great quadricep stretch. Breathe. Try to find your balance. Keep the shoulders back and the chin tucked. Press into all four corners of the standing foot. And then release that foot. Give your legs a little shake. Okay, I'm going to turn the chair around to do the other leg because I want to have the wall handy. I don't know, I had an accident with one of my thighs, so I don't have the steadiness that I used to have. So we're going to lift the leg up onto the chair. Find balance on the standing leg, pressing into the whole, pressing the whole foot into the mat, checking that this hip is level with the hip of the standing leg. And then do a little check-in with your hip, lifting and lowering the foot. It may be when you start, it's just all you want to do is just get your leg up onto the chair. Listen to your body, it knows best. And then if you're comfortable, you can slide your hand down your calf and grab your foot, bring the thigh to meet the other one, press the hand into the foot, and the foot into the hand. Trying to maintain good alignment with your spine. And then slowly release the foot. Good job. So those are our standing postures. We're going to move into some seated postures. So I'm going to turn my chair around. And we'll begin. So come to a comfortable seated position in your chair. And we're going to notice what it feels like to sit up straight. So I want you to root down into your sits bones, the base of your pelvis where your thighs meet the pelvis. Press down into those two little bony areas and then lengthen through your spine. Tuck your chin and feel like you're being pulled up tall through the crown of your head by a silken cord. And just sit here for a moment and see how it feels to sit with your shoulders back and relaxed, your arms resting on your thighs, and your sits bones carrying the weight of your torso. You may find that your stomach muscles will start to do a little work here when you're sitting up straight like this, because it's rather unusual to sit up straight. Usually we're slouched, we're sitting like this, we're sitting like this. So to sit up tall is quite a treat for the body. It allows room for all the organs to get good circulation and the blood flow. So give your body a treat and sit up straight. Take some breaths here. And we're going to start by doing just gentle head nods from side to side. So keeping good alignment, imagining that you're right back against the wall. Just begin to take your chin from side to side, not forcing the movement. If you do these stretches when you first wake up, you may notice that you don't have a lot of mobility in your neck, and that's okay. Don't force the head over. Just let it turn from side to side at its own pace. And coordinate your breathing with the movement. Breathe in the center and exhale to the side. So breathe in, exhale. Breathe in, exhale. Keep the shoulders relaxed, keep the jaws relaxed, and keep contact with your feet on the mat. Ideally, you want to do these stretches with your socks off because I'd like your feet to make contact with the ground. It's healthy. There's little brains in your feet and they need to be exercised. Not literally brains, but certainly nerve endings that want to be exercised. Okay, so come back to the center and we're going to do some shoulder rotations, and we're going to do them with the hands on the shoulders. So take your hands up, place them on your shoulders, and bring your elbows up and around and behind you. You can make little, I'm going to make little circles, probably about the size of a tennis ball. I'm taking my arms out to the side, trying to keep my shoulders down. And then just imagine that there's a tennis ball at the end of each elbow, and I'm just rotating around the outside edges of that tennis ball. Trying to keep the shoulders low. That is away from the ears. I see a lot of people when I walk around with their shoulders up around their ears. You may have seen people like that, or you may be a person like that. I know that there are times when we all seem to hunch like that so that our shoulders get up high. So I reverse the direction, breathing through this movement. Still keeping good alignment, checking in to make sure that I'm sitting up tall through the whole thing. And then I'm going to release the arms down by the side. Wiggle them a little bit. Next, we're going to do what I consider the best upper back exercise, and you can do it anytime, anywhere, and no one will know you're doing it, but you're doing yourself a good service. So I want you to think about your shoulder blades that are on the back, right inside the shoulders, between the shoulders and the spine. There's like these big bony structures, your scapula. So I want you to imagine those bony structures, and imagine that they're actually square. They're not, but imagine that they're two squares back there. I want you to imagine the upper inner corner of each square, and the inner corner is the one that's closest to the spine. And I want you to imagine bringing those inner corners right into the spine. So you squeeze your shoulders back. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Keep the chin tucked. Keep sitting up straight. And then release. Take a breath. And now we're going to imagine that inner side of that square, the middle of it, and we're going to squeeze the inside middle of those squares together. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And release. Breathe. And then take the lower arms, the forearms, out to the side. Spread your fingers. Bring the elbows in tight to the waist, and imagine the inside lower corner of those squares and squeeze it in to the spine. Squeeze. Breathe. And release. Take a breath. You may have noticed a little pull in the pectoral region in the front, the muscles in the front of your chest. And again, because of our lifestyle where we're hunched over, these muscles get a little slack, a little lazy. So when you ask them to do some work, to stretch out, they may rebel slightly at first. But it's a good rebellion and you want to keep doing it. I do this a lot when I'm in line at the post office or sitting in a chair, just to keep myself aware of keeping my shoulders open. So that's a really important stretch to keep doing. All right, we're going to move on to our feet for a moment here, just to wake them up a little more. So we're just going to lift and lower our toes here with deliberation. So I want you to sit up tall and just lift the heels up to get the toes stretched. And then we're going to walk the feet out a little bit and then lift up the toes. And breathe. Okay, so let's lift the legs up and rotate the ankles. Breathing, keeping your tummy muscles working here. and then rotate the other way. And then drop the feet down. And we're going to do a little hip stretch here. It's a variation of keyhole stretch or figure 4. So we're going to lift up the leg and then cross the ankle over and place it on top of the knee on the other leg. Now, if this hurts your knee, or if you had trouble getting your leg up here, I don't recommend that you do this particular stretch. But if you got your leg up fine, you're probably feeling some pull in the thigh here, which is what we're going for. We're trying to stretch out the outside edge of the thigh. So sit up tall, press your tailbone down into the chair, and you'll feel an even greater stretch there in the outside of that hip. Take some breaths here. We're trying to get some mobility in this thigh. So just keep stretching, pressing. Hopefully the knee will, after a while, not maybe today, but after doing this exercise a few times, you'll feel a little opening in the inner thigh and the knee area. And then you can also lift up on your toes while you're doing this, pressing down on your sits bones and your tailbone, and you'll find you'll even get a better stretch. Plus it's working the other leg, which is, I always like to get a twofer. Okay. And then relax both legs. And we're going to do a little more footwork here. I want you to take your fingers and thread them between each toe. And this can be challenging if you're a person who likes to wear shoes and socks all the time, to get the toes liberated. But work at it till you can get a finger between each toe. And then we're going to just rotate the toes forward and back. Feels good. A little crunchy today. Breathing. And then we're going to just rotate the ankle again 5 times in each direction with the fingers between the toes. And then release the fingers out. And then pull your toes, stretching out the little toe necks. Pull on each toe. And then massage the ball and the arch and the heel of your foot for as long as you want. I'm just going to let it go now. Put that foot down, and wow, that foot feels so loved. So let's start doing some work on the other side. So we're just going to lift the leg a couple of times to loosen it up, and then we're going to take that ankle and place it on top of the opposite knee. Now, you may notice this leg is a little tighter. This leg does not lay down so much. The knee is higher up. I have a tighter hip on this side, and you may notice one of your hips is tighter too. So I'm just going to sit up tall, pressing down through my sits bones and my tailbone, keeping my tummy muscles working, and just let that leg relax, keeping everything on my body relaxed as I stretch out that hip. Not as quite as much mobility in this hip. That's okay. Keep breathing, and then I'm just going to press down on my sits bones and lift and lower my heels on this leg. And release, and thread my fingers through the toes. And start rotating the toes back and forth. And then rotating the ankle again. Release the toes. Stretch out each toe neck by pulling on my toes. noticing what a great pedicure I gave myself this morning. And then massaging the bottom of my foot. Just have to tell you that one of the goals I had when I first got back into stretching and doing yoga after I retired was to be able to continue to give myself pedicures. I noticed I was getting quite stiff and it was getting very, very difficult to get down there and paint my toenails, but not a problem now. Okay, release the foot, and now feels just as good as the other foot. Feels great. So we're going to do two more chair postures. One is called hula hoop or scrape the peanut butter jar. Put your hands on your thighs and just begin to rotate around. Almost like we're going to take when the back's back, really bring the upper back into a C curve. And then as you come forward, bring your chest right through your hands and make this circles as wide as you can. That's why they call it scrape the peanut butter jar, because you may want to get every last nook and cranny where the peanut butter hides when the jar is getting empty. And breathing through the movement. And then come back to the center, and we'll go the other way. Really try to stretch out the sides, the ribs, the chest, the upper back. Feels great. And then come back to sitting straight up and down. Take a deep breath in, relax. We've got one more posture to do in the chair. And I wanted to let you know that we're doing these postures in the chair, but as you become more and more flexible and strong in your back and your hip area, you may want to start doing some of these poses down on the mat. But I like to do them in the chair at first because many of us start out with a lot of weakness in our back, and it can be very stressful to try to do and counterproductive to do these poses sitting on the mat. So get just as much benefit doing them in the chair. So we're going to do a simple twist to end our seated routine. So you can take your hand and place it behind you on the chair as close to your tailbone as possible. Sitting up straight, checking that you're still sitting up straight, your shoulders are rolled back, your chin is tucked, your sits bones are firmly rooted on the chair. Take the opposite hand, place it on the outside of the thigh, and then start to rotate towards the hand in the back from your hips, not from your shoulders. Your shoulders will be the last thing to come around. So start moving those hips. Think of the belly button coming over. And then stop. Check to see if you're still sitting up straight. Shoulders are back, chin is tucked. Take a deep breath in. Exhale and see if you can twist a little bit deeper. You notice my head is not going around. I'm not trying to look over my shoulder. I'm just trying to keep my head fairly much in line with my torso. Take a deep breath in and then twist a little bit deeper. Keeping those sits bones rooted on the chair. And breathe, holding the posture, pressing into your feet. Deep in and out breaths, and then slowly release. Always do movements slowly. Your muscles and your joints and the whole architecture that's involved in movement doesn't like jerky movements, and it doesn't improve your stretchability or your mobility, range of motion, flexibility, whatever you want to call it. It is not improved by jerking and reaching to get into these poses. Listen to your body and go slowly, and you will know when it's time. I had a client tell me just the other day, oh my gosh, I just realized that my rib does something, my ribs do something when I do a certain move. And that's what you'll notice. You'll start noticing different things as you continue moving your body and increasing your range of motion. So let's do the other side. So take your hand behind your back, sit up tall, chin tucked, shoulders back and down, and then take your other hand to the outside of your thigh. Deep breath in and start to rotate from the hips and belly button, twisting the ribs around. Stop when you start feeling your first tug. Check your alignment. Shoulders back, chin tucked. Inhale, and then see if you can twist a little deeper. This, after getting a good pedicure, this was my second reason for starting to increase my flexibility, was I wanted to be able to see oncoming traffic when I was pulling out into the road. Inhale, and then twist. Yes, I can see them now, but it was touch and go there for a while. Breathe. And then slowly come back to center. Good job. So we've completed the standing portion and the seated portion of the AM stretch, and I'll join you on the mat in just a moment. Some of my clients have difficulty getting down onto the floor, so I recommend, if you're going to come and do the floor work, that you use your chair and you just come to the chair like we did in that first forward fold, and then just drop one knee and then the other knee. Move your chair away and then come down. We're going to start on our bellies. So make your way down onto your belly. And here's my exercise partner, Piper. Piper likes to do floor work. Piper, I'm going to exercise now, so you can go away. Go away. Oh, here he's going to do floor work with me. So what I want you to do first is I want you to cross your forearms in front of you and drop your head right down on your forearms. And just allow your body to move into the sensation of being in prone position. This is called prone, so all these poses will be prone poses. So when I first get down into prone position, I like to wiggle my hips back and forth a little bit. And then I lift my lower legs up, and I do what's called windshield wiper movements with them. Breathing, stretching out the hips. And then just drop the legs back down onto the mat. We're going to start with minor back bends just to get the back a little lubricated. So bring your forearms about 8 inches away from your armpit. It's about 8 inches. Here's my armpit, and then the arm is forward. The elbow is forward. So bring your elbows forward and have your forearms parallel to the edges of your mat, and spread your fingers into a fan shape, and drop your head down onto the mat. Now if your head doesn't go down easily because of neck issues, you can drop it onto a block or books or anything that's handy like this. You can turn the block onto its side, drop your head down like that. Or you can have your forehead all the way down on the mat. And then I want you to bring your shoulders away from your ears. So draw those shoulder blades down toward the waist. Press your forearms into the mat. Press your tailbone down towards the mat to lengthen out the tailbone and those little vertebrae down there by the tailbone, to give them some space so you don't crunch them up. So we're just sort of isometrically pressing the hands, the forearms, and the tailbone, pubic bone into the mat, pressing the forehead into the block or the mat. Take some breaths here. This is a little spinal stretch. Breathing. And I want you to draw your elbows in to right underneath your shoulders. Forearms are still parallel to the edges of the mat. Fingers are still spread. Keep those shoulder blades heading down towards the waist, and then press into that pubic bone again and gaze forward slightly. You should be on the tops of your feet, not on your toes. Trying to stretch out the tops of the feet too. So pressing into the forearms, pressing into the fingers, pressing into the pubic bone, lengthening out the tailbone, and we're just going to hold this pose. It's called Sphinx pose in yoga, And what it does is it's a mild back bend. As you can see, I'm mildly doing a little bit of a back bend, a little counterpose to the way we sit all day with our spine rolled forward. So we want to move it into a different direction, stretch it out in a different way. And also giving a little exercise and invigoration into the forearms, which also don't get a lot of activity in many of our daily routines. Okay, so this may be a good pose for you to start with if you do have a lot of tightness in your back. So we're going to just come back down for a moment onto the forearms, wiggle the hips a little from side to side, and do some more windshield wipers with the legs. Do this all day. I love windshield wiper. Okay, and then drop the legs down. Take a breath. I'm going to drop the forehead down onto the mat now and bring the arms down by the sides. Again, keep the shoulders away from the ears, and then just lift up your arms with the palms facing towards the sky. It's a good tricep stretch. Keep those shoulder blades try to meet into the spine and draw down towards the waist. And then lifting the arms just as far as it's comfortable. We'll take 5 breaths here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drop the arms down, rest on your cheek for a moment. Let everything relax. And then come back to center with your forehead on the mat. I'm going to lift up the arms and the neck and head. If you don't have the strength for this in your back, just try to come up as much as you can, building some strength in the upper back. And again, hold for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And drop down and rest on your cheek. Bring your forearms back to the front of the mat. Rest your forehead on your forearms. Press your hips into the mat and lengthen out your leg. Take one leg and lengthen it long, and it may start to lift right off of the mat. Keep pressing your hips down. We're going to count to 10. Since I've been talking so much, I'll start at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Drop that leg down. Wiggle your hips a little bit. Press down in with your hips and lengthen the other leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Drop it down. Wiggle the hips. And you can just lift both legs up together, or you can lift everything up now. So bring the arms down by the side, forehead on the mat. Lift up the head and shoulders. Lift up the arms. Lift up the legs, and we'll count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drop down onto a cheek. Take a few breaths. And then we're going to make our way onto our backs. So roll down onto your mat or the floor. Lengthen out your legs. Just take a few breaths in this supine position, letting the spine settle into the mat. Nudge your shoulders down far away from your ears to lengthen out the back of the neck. And if you find your chin is still up because your neck muscles are shortened, I recommend that you stick a block or a pillow behind your head so that your chin can be slightly tucked. So make sure that you listen to your body and don't strain the back of the neck. There should be a nice straight line between the chin and the forehead here, either with or without the block. And then slowly bring the knees towards your chest. Place your hands behind your thighs and just let everything relax here. So the shoulders are relaxed, the upper arms are relaxing down toward the mat if they're not resting on it. The lower legs are relaxed. And just take some breaths here. We'll take 5 deep breaths. And then release the legs, drop them down to the mat. You're going to lift up one leg and place the ankle of that leg across on the knee of the other leg, opening up that knee to the side. You should feel a stretch in your hip here. If you're feeling a good enough stretch, you can stay right here in this keyhole stretch. If you would like more of a challenge, you can start bringing the opposite knee in towards the chest. And if you like, you can thread your hands behind the thigh of the leg that's coming in towards the chest. And then just let everything relax as the outside of that hip is stretching. Keep checking to make sure that your shoulders and your jaw and your lower legs stay relaxed. And release that leg, cross the other ankle over the opposite knee. Let the knee open up to the side. Again, if this is a good enough stretch and challenge for you, stay right here. If you're not getting enough of a stretch on that outside hip, start bringing the opposite knee in and place your hands behind the thigh of that leg that's stretching forward. And then let everything relax and hold the stretch. And then release that pose. Bring your arms down by your sides, checking that your shoulders are still away from your ears. And then just begin to take the knees from side to side. Breathing. Doing a lot of hip stretches today, very important. It helps with balance. If you're a walker or a runner, it really helps counteract the tightness that you'll get in your hips from the running and a lot of walking. So this is just a simple one right here. This windmill is a super stretch for people who walk and run. And then let the knees drop down to one side and just let the legs relax. And take a deep breath in. You can take your head away from the knees and look in the opposite direction. Keep making sure that the hips, knees, and feet remain relaxed. Bring your knees back to the center. and then take them down to the other side and face the opposite direction. Feel a good stretch. Keep the legs relaxed, keep the shoulders relaxed, and breathe. Bring the legs back to center. Bring the bottoms of the feet together. Open the knees to the side. And let the inner thighs relax. Breathing, the shoulders soft. Using your hands, draw the thighs back together. Hug the knees into your chest one last time. Roll a little bit from side to side. Drop your feet back down to the mat. And you can lengthen out your legs here and stay here in this rest position for several breaths. As long as you like, actually. And when you're ready, you can roll over to the side and use your hands to push yourself up to seated. Have your chair handy if you're just starting out with mat work, so that you could come over and come up onto the chair to help yourself come back up to standing, just like when we came down. So thank you for joining me today for this AM stretch class. You can do the class in sections. You could do the standing and seated portions one morning and do the mat work on another morning, or you can do the whole video at one time. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to make a comment, I would appreciate it. And also let me know if there's anything that you would like more information on in terms of stretching, yoga, and flexibility. So have a great day. Thank you.